Hey guys, welcome back here to today's edition of Intuitive Angling, and I really appreciate you guys coming by the channel to hang out with me for a little bit. And guys, today I'm going to tell you all about the most unbelievable, vicious strike that I ever got bass fishing in my entire life. Over 50 years, 55 years of fishing or more. This one strike stands out. It's not even close to anything else. I want to talk about it in today's video. I think you guys might get a kick out of it. Also, guys, just two quick things before we get started. I want to remind you that we do have the special run of my Blaukat Throwback jig at Cumberland Pro Lures. This is my black living rubber with blue tinsel. This is a super hard to tie jig, very labor intensive. That's why we just do special runs with it about once every 2 or 3 months. But if you'd like to pick one up, guys, I'll put my Cumberland Pro Lures link in the description. You can't get these through my Tackle Warehouse link, this particular color, but you can get them at the Cumberland Lures site, so I'll put that link in the description. And also, guys, real quick, we do have my spring Fish the Moment lake map breakdowns up on the fishthemoment.com website now. These are great resources to learn more about your favorite lake or lake you've never been to get some good places for this spring. They're maps I've built specifically for Fish the Moment, so I'll have that link in the description of this video also, so I really appreciate that. Okay, I've had a lot of, fishing as long as I have, or as many decades. I've had a lot of things that, I'll always remember as far as individual fish and specific situations. And when I do some reminiscence sometimes, I think back about, what was like the best or most memorable thing with this. And I got thinking about what was the most incredible strike I ever had. And I want to tell you guys about how this happened here. We were at a tournament down at Lake Okeechobee. This was a FLW tour event. It was sometime back in I think it was the late 1990s, during that time frame there. And this was I think the last day of practice for this tournament. Now, if you guys have never fished Okeechobee before, the lake changes every year as far as, with it coming up or coming down, and then sometimes you got more clear water than others, but this was back when Okeechobee still had quite a bit of clear water. I mean, with all the pollutants and agricultural runoff and all the nutrient overload that's going on with Okeechobee right now, there's a lot. It's not near as clear as what it used to be. It varies a little bit. But anyway, Okeechobee varies every single year how it looks. You got different areas that have different vegetation and different water clarities. Now, this particular year that we were there, the water, it was very unique in the sense that the water was pretty high. It was maybe a foot or so above normal, which is, pretty high for down there. But the thing that made it really unique is the water was the clearest I've ever seen it in this one part of the lake. I was fishing up on the north end of the lake, and this particular year, the grass had been growing quite a ways out on what's called the North Shore up there. And it was a different crop of grass. It was a long pepper grass that the lake used to have a lot of it. And it had been like 20 years since I'd seen this really thick pepper grass that filtered the water out. So if you can imagine the water visibility being about probably 5 or 6 foot clarity, clear water, and then these stalks of pepper grass that were like, some of the stalks were 5 or 6 feet long. And the pepper grass, it's like, it's just like a stalk of grass that's growing straight up in the air like that. So it's got little tiny leaves on it, but it grows straight up like a rope. So imagine this flat out there. It had just thousands and thousands, I don't know, probably hundreds of thousands of these pepper grass stalks coming up there in real clear water. And some of the stalks came to the surface, and some of the stalks came 3 or 4 foot underneath the surface, and you'd have these big openings. So, for example, you'd be working down a giant flat, and you might have an area where this pepper grass was a couple feet under the water, and the water was really open, but around it, the pepper grass was on the surface, and you could see it laying on the surface. So anyway, back then, I was throwing a Sluggo. This was one of my favorite lures. If you guys have never seen a Sluggo, let me see if I can pull one out here. I'll show you what it is. Yeah, just 1 second, guys. I'm going to get the Sluggo out of here. Show you guys what this looks like here. But I'm going to show you the bait I was throwing. It was this. Lunker is made by Lunker City, which guys, this Sluggo, if you've never used it before, this thing is a big fish catching bait. I mean, it catches giants. It's sort of like, it's the same thing as like a fluke or something. But back in the 90s, this thing was the whole rage right here. You hook it just like a fluke and it darts around just like a fluke. So this was during the period where I had been using a Sluggo a lot all over the country. I've been using it, and it was one of my sort of my staple baits. So anyway, I had the Sluggo on down there, and I'm working this Sluggo the way that you work it, or the way that I like to work it. I like to work it probably about, I don't know, 6 inches to a foot under the water. Just, I keep it in sight. So when I'm working down this grass line at Okeechobee, I'd been catching some on it, and I would throw it out there and I'd just twitch it just like that. And again, the bait was 6 inches or a foot underneath the water. It wasn't on the water, wasn't on the surface. It was just a little bit under the water. So I don't know, I'd caught 6 or 7. Most of them were like 2.5, 3 pounders, something like that. They're biting it pretty good. So I'm working down through there, and the wind died off. And it was like, if you've ever been at Okeechobee before, when that wind dies off, those water gnats come up. So this water, the water is completely slick flat, and it's gin clear. So when I throw this Sluggo out there, I'm working it, I can see the Sluggo, really, really good. So anyway, I turned, and the way that my boat was turned, I was into the sun. So when I threw the Sluggo out there, the sun was in my eyes, so I couldn't see it. I could see, but I couldn't see the bait under the water. So I make a long cast with a Sluggo out there, and I'm working at probably 10 or 15 feet. And guys, what happened next? I have never seen anything like this. I'm working this Sluggo like this, and all of a sudden the water just erupted underneath it. I'm talking like there was a boil underneath my Sluggo that was as big as the front part of your deck there. There was a boil around the Sluggo that was probably 4 foot in diameter. And I'm thinking, what the heck was that? I thought it was like maybe a gator or something like that. An alligator was underwater. It was just this unbelievable boil. So anyway, but it sort of looked like a strike. I mean, it looked like a strike, but in my mind, it's like there's no fish that can move that type of water. There's not a fish that big that can move that type of water. So anyway, the water boiled, and then my Sluggo starts swimming out. I got a fish on it, and I go, oh my God, if that was a fish, this is a 15-pound bass. I mean, this is the biggest bass in my life right here. So I set the hook on it in practice. I normally wouldn't set the hook on something like this, but this was so unbelievable. I set the hook, and when I set the hook, I had the drag down pretty tight, and I had like 20-pound test line on, and that drag started stripping through the grass. And I'm like, oh my God, I said there, and I got thinking, it's like, there's no way this can be a bass. It's just, the boil was too big. It's like one of those saltwater boils. You see those guys working those 2 foot long topwater plugs, and a giant whatever comes up and gets it. It looked like that. And I said, and I got thinking, it's like, there's no way this is a bass. But then I got thinking, what else could it be in Okeechobee except a bass here? And that thing jumped out there, and it's a big bass. I couldn't tell how big it was because it jumped way out there. And I fought it all the way back to the boat, guys. I finally got it in, and it weighed 9 pounds and 13 ounces. And I'm like disappointed. I'm like, when I weighed that fish, and it was almost a 10-pounder, I'm like, son of a bitch. I said, this thing is a freaking dink. I thought it was going to be a 15 or 18 pounder. I mean, it was like, the boil was unbelievable. So this fish, this was the meanest bass I probably ever caught in my life. To move that type of water and to strip that type of line out, that fish had like some unbelievable genetics in it. But guys, I will never forget that in my entire life. It's like, I just wish I wish you could have seen that on film, how much water this fish moved on that Sluggo. And like I said, the bait was probably, I don't know, 6 inches under the water when the fish boiled on it. So unless it was like maybe a couple of them, I don't know, maybe there was 2 or 3 big giant bass that came up after it, and that was just the one that got it. That's the only thing maybe I could figure that was different on it. But anyway, guys, I just wanted to share that story with you guys. Let me know what you guys, shoot me your comments. Let me know what you guys had some experiences like that too. So we'll talk later.